Hello, welcome to Fix It Physio TV. Today I'm going to talk about ankle sprains and a range of different things that can happen with an ankle sprain and whether you should worry about it, whether you should have treatment or not, and a few of the things that may be right for you. So a bit of background. Basically, ankle sprains are a really common condition, especially in sports. In basketball, it's something like 90+% of basketballers will have torn the ATFL ligament in their ankle, which is the most common ligament that does get hurt. Soccer players are quite similar, netball's quite similar, rugby league would be at least that much. So a lot of sporting injuries, but also people who just in day-to-day might trip on a gutter, step in a pothole, maybe have too much to drink and stumble and sprain their ankle. There's all sorts of ways of spraining ankles. And they can be anything from just a bit sore and touchy to completely swollen, can't walk on them, and sort of disastrous type pains and dysfunction. So a lot of the time people will end up, if it is swollen and pretty bad, they'll end up going to the hospital, or some will end up going to the GP. And one of our pets hates as a physio is when the doctor will have a look and they'll say, it's just an ankle sprain, you'll be fine, put ice on it for a couple of days, stay off it, and then in a week you'll be right. So don't know where this advice came from, but it's probably missing a lot of things. It's missing a lot of potential complications of an ankle sprain that could take a long time to heal, and particularly if you're not picking up what it is from the start and treating them appropriately. So it's kind of completely discounting physio as an option, and it's something that we deal with, I think, really well. We see a lot of, and there is a whole range of treatments that we do to make sure, firstly, that the sprain is going to heal without staying around for a long time, and secondly, so that you can strengthen everything up, scar tissue and muscles around the ankles, so that you don't sprain the ankle again, because there is a really high reoccurrence rate for ankle sprains if they're not looked after properly. So let's go through some of the things that can go wrong. So firstly, the most common thing is with a sprain, there's ligament damage. So that can be anything from a strain, which is just a bit of overstretching of a ligament, but the whole ligament is intact. It can be a partial tear, where you have some of the fibres tear, but you've still got the structure intact. You've got a full tear of one ligament, and it's usually ATFL, but it can be quite a few others. There's about 4 or 5 ligaments that can tear around your ankle. It can be multiple tears in different ligaments. So usually if you've got a full tear of a ligament, you're going to have a really swollen ankle. You probably would have heard a crack, and you're probably going to have some trouble weight bearing. Obviously as well, you could have a fracture. Usually that's one thing they're going to rule out pretty quickly with an x-ray. And there's certain rules that we can use to predict whether there is a fracture or not. Just to list a few other things that can go wrong, you can have a high ankle sprain, just as a ligament and potentially some other soft tissue higher up in your shin and the ankle and above in the front of your shin there. That can be something that, if missed, will be really hard to recover from. You can have osteochondral defects and bone bruising. So on the foot part of the ankle, you've got this sort of a thing. So when you sprain, you can kind of bang that up together, and the bones can have little divots in them, or little bone bruises, which is like a tomato bruise, where the surface is okay, but underneath it's all soft and bruised. You can have impingement type things, where the joints sort of jam together at the front or the back. That can cause some extra pains. You can tear a tendon, or you can tear a bit of tendon or ligament off the bone as well. It's called an avulsion. So quite a lot of things that can happen in an ankle sprain, and often they'll be missed by a quick examination. So it is quite important to have someone really look at it, do all the tests, touch around every single part, see what you can and can't do, and if there's any suspicion of something a bit nasty, it's not a bad idea to sometimes get a scan and make sure you know what you're dealing with. Otherwise, the clinical judgment will usually, with someone skilled like a physio, that will tell you what you're dealing with and what the appropriate treatment is from the start, and what the timeline might be to get it better. So examples of treatment might be early on, you might need to go in a walking boot. If you're struggling to walk and you've got a lot of swelling and you're really not getting around that well, a boot's usually a good short-term treatment to help you get around, help reduce some swelling, reduce inflammation, and help that joint settle and the pain settle. It'll usually be a lot more comfortable in a boot. We've gone away from long-term boot use because you get a lot of stiffness and weakness in the ankle and the calf and other muscles around there. So usually it's a short-term thing, maybe for a few weeks, depending on your symptoms and depending on what the scans have shown. But that'll help you get around, it'll help you recover until the point where you can start getting the ankle moving again, stretching, putting weight through it, doing strength work, and doing balance. So generally there's a few phases. So there's that first stage we spoke about, is settling things down, letting scar tissue start to form as the inflammation gathers in the area and does its thing. Second phase, we've got that scar tissue starts to form into a ligament type structure, and in this stage we really want to help that scar tissue form into a good strong ligament, or a good strong scar tissue that replicates a ligament so that it can handle forces, can let your ankle move without any restriction, and can basically do the same as what the ligament would have done. And then there's the third stage, which is more of a remodeling stage, where the scar tissue is there, it's just not quite strong yet, hasn't figured out all the forces have to go through it, so there's a lot of strengthening in that stage, and a lot of sort of pressure going through the ligaments. And then there's a lot of muscle strength and balance, and quite challenging exercise that we'll do. They were like standing on one leg with your eyes closed, doing some hopping, work on a mini trampoline, wobble board, a lot of different things just to sort of really challenge yourself, to make sure that you are aware of what your ankle's doing, so you've got that coordination back, and so you've got the strength, so that if you do start to roll your ankle in the future, you've got that strength to sort of undo that and come back into a safe position. So there's really a lot of things that physio will do, and sometimes, 2-3 weeks and you're feeling really good, and we can give you a program to keep going on with and you'll be fine. Other times it might go for months. If you've got a really bad sprain with a lot of swelling, it takes a while to get the swelling away, it takes a while for everything to get back into action after it's been kind of swollen and stuck and immobilised for a while. But definitely, if you've sprained your ankle, I'd recommend getting a physio to have a look, do a full assessment. Don't just go to the hospital, get an x-ray and they'll sort of dismiss it. If you need a boot, we can give you one. If you need scans, we can direct you to your GP and go and get that done. And even MRIs we can refer ourselves if needed. So one-stop shop, physios are going to have a good look. We're going to be able to push you in the right direction, and we're going to make sure you get fully recovered and not just dismiss it and tell you that you'll be okay just by doing nothing. So if you've had an ankle sprain, or if you've had a good or bad experience with your recovery, please leave a comment and let us know what you think. If you've got any questions, always happy to answer them. Have a great day.